Good morning, everybody. Thank you all for coming today. We're going to release some information today about suspects in a home invasion in November 2018. Vancouver Police have released security photos of a suspect involved in a 2018 home invasion, and we're hoping the public can help identify the man. If you look behind me here, we're releasing 3 photos that were taken from a restaurant in Vancouver, and they were taken, which we believe is one of the suspects. Shortly before 9 p.m. on November 30th, 2018, several suspects disguised with hoods and masks forced their way into a residence. This was near Ontario and West 49th Avenue. 2 of the men were armed. The homeowners, a 56-year-old man and his 35-year-old wife, were restrained and assaulted while their toddler slept upstairs. The husband was treated at hospital for what we're calling serious injuries, while his wife's physical injuries were minor. The child, fortunately, was unharmed. Investigators with the VPD's major crime sections believe this was a planned and targeted robbery and that there were at least 5 suspects involved in this. Several articles from the home were stolen and no arrests have been made. Our VPD detectives have exhausted countless leads. We're hopeful that the high quality of the photos, as you see behind me, will lead to someone recognizing this suspect. We're asking anyone with information about this home invasion or who knows the identity of this man behind me is asked to call Vancouver Police at 604-717-2541. If you wish to remain anonymous, you can call Crime Stoppers anonymously at 1-800-222-8477. I'm happy to take any questions that you may have.
So it's believed this incident was targeted. What was the motive?
Well, right now there's we're holding back a lot of information on this because it's a very active investigation. It's ongoing, and these will be helpful to the investigators down the road. So, the information that we're releasing at this point, the timing of this media release, we're all carefully monitored by our investigators.
So on the subject of the timing, why take so long to release information about this assault? This is like 8 months.
Yeah, so in investigations, we don't necessarily have to release information publicly, especially if it's not necessary and especially if it's not going to benefit the investigation in any way. So up until today, our investigators carefully looked at that and decided that it was not beneficial to the investigation to release any information about it until today. So today, we're coming out and asking for your help to identify at least one of the suspects or anybody with any information about this to please call us.
But what about that led investigators to these photos and this suspect?
Well, the investigation, the evidence led our investigators to believe that the man behind me here in the picture is one of the 5 suspects responsible for this crime.
And when you say 5, 3 allegedly broke in and tied up and assaulted the homeowners, so the other 2 presumably were in a getaway car, driving outside, planning. How do they factor in?
So I don't know where you're getting the information.
There's
5 suspects involved in this.
3 broke in. Didn't you say 3 suspects with hoods and masks? Did I get that wrong?
I don't know where you got that info from, but
Sorry.
okay.
How is the toddler doing? Or how was the toddler?
The toddler's unharmed and slept upstairs.
Just coming back to the subject of why it took so long to release it,
Sure.
This was a pretty violent incident. Was there no concern for the safety of folks in the neighborhood?
Yeah, our investigators had to weigh that at the time, believing that this was targeted at the time, and believing that the general public was not at risk and that it would not benefit the investigation to release any information publicly. So the decision to do that in any investigation is carefully weighed by all our investigators. And in this particular case, our investigators decided to come out today as this would benefit the investigation. There were a lot of investigative avenues that were exhausted by our detectives behind the scenes, and simply releasing the information too soon would not benefit or help the investigation or help our investigators.
If I can press this a little bit more, though,
Okay.
Could releasing the information a bit sooner maybe have led to finding the suspects?
In this case, I mean, we carefully monitor that. We carefully have to weigh whether or not it's beneficial to the investigation. The most I can tell you right now is that releasing any information prior to that would not benefit the investigation. And in fact, it could hinder the investigation. So we do have to weigh that, and it's not black and white whether or not we do immediate release in our investigations, and we don't do them in all investigations. So in this case, we're doing it now.
So at the time, was there door-to-door canvassing then? Were police talking to neighbors?
What I can tell you is this was a priority investigation for our major crime section and our detectives. They've been working very diligently behind the scenes. Unfortunately, I can't get into the specifics of the evidence that they've gathered, of the information that they've obtained. This is a very active and ongoing investigation, but they have been working very diligently. The information and the evidence that they've gathered so far has led them to believe that the man behind me here in the picture is one of the men that was involved in this home invasion, and we're asking the public for help.
Sir, talk to us about public safety. How dangerous is this guy?
This incident and everybody involved in it are quite concerning to us. This was a brazen home invasion, and we have our major crimes detectives looking into it. So this is a priority for us.
But this is only one suspect. Are there any leads on the other four?
Yeah, our investigators have, I can tell you they've put a lot of the pieces together, but we still need your help.
You mentioned you exhausted many of your leads, or can you just talk a little bit about that you've done everything kind of at this point?
Yeah, I can get into sort of general investigative avenues that our investigators will go down typically, but unfortunately I can't get into the specifics. We are holding back a lot of information because the investigation is ongoing. If we release that information, it could hinder the investigation, it could hinder the potential for bringing this forward for criminal charges. So those are reasons that we have to consider not releasing specifics about it. But I can tell you that our detectives have been working quite hard on this. They have obtained a lot of information. They're putting a lot of things together behind the scenes, but we're reaching out today because we still need your help. We still need a few pieces of the puzzle, and this is one of them. This is what we're here today to focus on, is the pictures behind me and identifying the man behind me. We want to put a name to this photo, and we want anybody with information about this crime at all to call our investigators. You can also call Crime Stoppers anonymously.
Can you tell us anything else about the neighborhood where this happened?
What we're releasing right now is this was sort of in the Oak Ridge neighborhood. It was in a residence, and it was near Ontario Street and 49th Avenue.
Was it an apartment? Or
We're saying it's a residence. That's what we're releasing right now.
What did the suspects steal? Did they get what they came
We're not, kind of has to go with the motive. It has to go with the ongoing investigation. We're not releasing much more exactly what was obtained, but we are saying they did obtain articles from the home. But we can't release the specifics about that.
What were the two men armed with?
Firearms.
were the victims known to police?
We're not releasing much more about the victims other than their age and their injuries, and that they are, especially the husband, is recovering, but he did sustain serious injuries at the time. He was treated in a hospital for those injuries.
What about the husband? I mean, he was the one assaulted, so he was, it seems, the target. Why was he targeted?
Again, that goes to motive, and we can't release specifics about that.
Can you say anything more just about the commission of the crime itself? I know you want to hold some of this back in case you find the suspects, but can you, just characterize what kind of violence we're talking about here, how intense this might have been, what the victims here described to your investigators?
Well, this was a substantive offense. This was a serious crime. This was a violent crime. This was a targeted event to three people in the residence. So that's why we assign these types of serious crimes to our major crimes investigators. And these are the types of investigations that they take on. So when this first happened, we've had a lot of officers that have touched this investigation one way or the other, from patrol officers that were there the night this happened, to the detectives that were called out, to our investigators that have worked around the clock on this to try and put all the pieces together. So that's where we're at right now. We have this one piece, and we're really hoping we can identify one of the suspects here.
Can you tell us where and when these photos were taken?
I can't release that, but I can say that they were taken from a surveillance photo of a Vancouver restaurant.
But wouldn't knowing where these photos were taken help jog someone's memory about where they might have been at that time?
Well, I think just looking at the quality of these photos here, that's enough. You either know them or you don't. If you have a look at these photos, it's very good quality. I haven't seen an HD photo like this for a while. So we're hoping that somebody, based on the quality of the photos, can identify this person.
And as frustrating as it is, remind us why investigators sometimes hold back evidence in cases like this.
It could hinder an investigation if we release information that perhaps only the suspect would know about. Motive, weapons used, those kinds of things. We can't release to the public. And we need to hold on to that information later on should this go for charges in a criminal court.
We hear about breaking and enterings once in a while, but how rare is it to have this kind of violence associated with it?
I think it's rare in Vancouver. It is a serious crime, and we do put a lot of effort into trying to solve these. This is a priority for us to investigate these types of crime.
Do you have a count of how many home invasions happened in 2018?
I don't have that information, but I could look into that later for you.
And just one more time to clarify, what changed so much that you feel, that police feel like now they need to go public with this? As opposed to...
A big piece of that is this photo that we have here. It's very good quality, and we want to release it to the public. There are a lot of investigative avenues, excuse me, that have been exhausted prior to going public with this. So we want to try and solve these without having to go public. Sometimes there are avenues that we will have to explore prior to this. So today we've exhausted those on trying to identify who this man is, and we're now reaching out to the public. So we're hoping that somebody recognizes this man, calls us, and we're also hoping that somebody out there has a small piece of this puzzle which actually could help crack the case wide open. So please give us a call. Okay, thank you.